Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Walthamstow in North London to Wanstead in North East London. This ride takes around 15 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes 2 to 3 times as long, so getting on your bike is a great way to save time for this trip. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute too, then you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on Hoe Street opposite Walthamstow Central Tube Station, and we're going to turn around and go down St Mary's Road. This street and the others that we'll be riding on for the first part of the video are part of the Walthamstow Village low traffic neighbourhood. This is one of the earliest of the current waves of LTNs introduced in London and was finished in 2015, removing through traffic from a pretty large area of Walthamstow. As you can see, this is a great place to ride a bike thanks to the really low traffic levels, and they're so low that people are just happy to stand in the road and wander around. Schemes like this are not just for cycling. Now we're using the streets in this LTN to go north-south down to Lea Bridge Road, which has protected cycle tracks on it. There'll soon be another option for making that journey, as Waltham Forest Council is building protected lanes on Hoe Street as well, which is where we started, so you'll be able to get there on the main road as well. I'll definitely show those tracks off when they're finished, but frankly it is so nice cycling through here that I imagine some people will probably prefer just to use the back streets anyway. It will be great to have both options though, and really the aim should be that every street is cyclable by everybody, either because traffic levels are so low or because there's protected space for cycling. Remember that if you need help remembering which streets you need to cycle down in any of the videos I put on this channel, you can always download the free map of the route, which is linked in the description below the video and available in a GPX file, which should work on any app or device that you use. As we exit Copeland Road, we turn on to Libridge Road. Libridge Road has protected cycle lanes like this on both sides of the street. In this direction you're on this side of the road, and in the other direction you're on the other side of the road. The lanes are continuous without any gaps on the section we're using, which I always appreciate. The only thing to watch out for is that there are quite a lot of driveways and side roads facing onto Libridge Road, including that petrol station forecourt which we just cycled past. So do be mindful of cars pulling into the road without looking. That also has the effect of creating a little bit of an undulation in sections like this, with the surface of the cycle path sloping up and down to accommodate the driveway crossovers. It's not a huge problem, but in the Netherlands and on newer cycle tracks that I've seen in London, designers have started using what are called the Dutch entrance curb, where the cycle track is just left flat and then a wedge-shaped curb is used on the carriageway side to create a slope for vehicles pulling out of the driveway. That makes for a much more comfortable ride, as the cycle track isn't constantly going up and down. After we cross Wood Street onto the Whipps Cross Junction, the cycle track turns into a two-way track, so when you're doing this journey in the opposite direction, you'll be on this side of the road as well. We quickly get to a really nicely done cycle crossing, which takes us across this mammoth highway with no drama. There's a further short section of two-way cycle track on the opposite side of the road, but it then turns into a shared path. Now, shared paths are not as good as protected cycle lanes. As the name suggests, you have to share them with pedestrians. And of course, you should always ride courteously when you do that and give people plenty of space when you pass them. I do think though that this shared path is definitely one of the better ones, and that's why I'm happy to include it in a video. It ticks all the boxes that a good shared path should do. It's not just a pavement, and it does have a little grass verge separating the path from the carriageway, which adds to the feeling of safety. Crucially, it doesn't really have any side roads, which are a big problem with shared paths. There's one or two, and they're relatively low traffic. The number of people walking on the path is also generally pretty low at most times, and the surface is also nice and smooth, and Waltham Forest Council has also chosen to give it this slightly unusual buff colour instead of the sort of dark tarmac of a normal pavement, and I think that actually makes a difference in how pedestrians and people on bikes perceive the path. Another nice detail I like is the frequent and prominent shared space signs like the one on this lamppost just here. Sometimes when you ride on a shared path, you'll get conflicts and interactions with people who don't realise that it's shared, and they don't like the fact that you're cycling there. But those prominent signs remind people that actually it is for both people on bikes and on foot. That can help prevent misunderstandings, which can be an unpleasant experience for everyone involved. We pass over the central line of the London Underground on that bridge as we dive down into the underpass of the Green Man Interchange. This is a major road junction, and thankfully it was built with decent cycling infrastructure, which allows you to just dive right under the traffic and not have to interact with any cars. It's amazing the quality of infrastructure you can build when you have the national road budget at your disposal. Even the best councils in London are not going to be building cycle underpasses, I can tell you that. It would just be too expensive for them. One fun fact about the Green Man Interchange is that it's not just a junction for roads, it's also a junction for the tube network. We passed over the central line there, but we actually passed over it twice, as the Hainault Loop, which is a part of the Eastern Central Line, actually breaks off from the main line around there as well and passes right under the interchange. Now, you briefly ride on that path alongside the A12 before taking the first exit out onto Selsdon Road. This street is a cul-de-sac, doesn't go anywhere for cars, so there's no traffic on it. For the last section of our route into Wanstead, we're going to use residential back streets like this and then pop out at George Green, right opposite the tube station. Now, George Green has an interesting history. It used to be a village green in Epping Forest, but when this area was developed, it was left as a park for people to use. More recently, in 1993, it was the site of the Battle of George Green, where anti-roads activists tried to stop the A12 highway from being built. They locked themselves to a 250-year-old chestnut tree, which was to be cut down so the road could be put into a cut-and-cover tunnel under the green. The highway, part of the Ringways plan, is actually to the left of that brick wall and in a tunnel under the green. We're going over it now. One of the promises of the new highway was that it would get rid of traffic on the surface streets. As you can see, that didn't happen. Interestingly, if you look at this area on a satellite photo like on Google Maps, you can see that the grass over the road tunnel is actually of a different colour. But anyway, we've made it to Wanstead all the way from Walthamstow. It's kind of a local route. These areas are adjacent to each other, but the public transport options are pretty limited in this part of town for this sort of journey. So I think cycling it is definitely the way to go. Do let me know what you think of that route. I'm always interested. Make sure you hit subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. I post new videos every week. Remember that you can download a map of the route in the description. And thanks again to all of those of you on the Patreon who keep the channel going. If anyone else wants to contribute, you can find a link in the description below the video. I will see you guys all again next time.